we have interesting combination here of early investments, which is done by Nikunj, and then IFC is of course more late stage investors. They're a PE fund and they look at larger ticket investments. So between the two of them, they're going to share as to, how investments are raised in today's climate, and then how do you find exits in these businesses as investors to get more companies to get into the investment circle in education. So welcome to both of you. So let me start with you, Nikunj. Today, as I was saying, that early stage investments were seen, late stage investments were seen in Edtech. Back in 2020, we saw the, Byju's probably becoming one of the biggest organizations, and then whole load of merger and acquisitions taking place over there. Do you see now there is a different kind of opportunity coming in the Edtech or the early education space,
Yes.
early stage education companies?
Yes. So, if I differentiate between 1920, which was where investors were looking for companies to invest, and there is only on an idea stage people were investing. So there was no business model, there was only ideas, and anticipation was that idea will succeed. It has gone to 180-degree different today. Even with ideas, they are now looking for profitabilities. Because every business, if I invest in any business, I want return on investment, return on money. And that's where I see more and more private equity funds, even VC funds are asking relevant questions. And I personally feel that time is right now to invest. Because whatever you have invested today, like this is, you might have invested in land 5 years back, in machinery 3 years back, and now production is starting. So I have reason to believe that a lot of good things are happening. As you rightly pointed out, few school groups are expanding. They might be 20 years old school groups, 30 years old school groups, but today they are seeing the opportunity.
Right.
Today they are seeing, if I get money, 500 crore from the market, I can have 100 more schools, and I can do wonders. So, means as per our estimate, this is the right time to invest. This is the right time to invest into education ecosystem.
Right. And, particularly now we're seeing that AI is going to play, and we've been having some sessions in the morning, and we found that particularly how AI is being used in schools and in teaching is taking a big turn. So do you find such investment opportunities will now come in EdTech space?
Right. So AI is an enabler. Means, ChatGPT is an enabler. You can use ChatGPT to solve your queries. So I see lots of AI is used in education ecosystem. For example, in our Propelld is into education financing. So we finance school fees, we finance coaching fees, we finance all university fees, we finance MBA, MCAs like anything in the world. And we use AI in a way that to detect the fraud. We use AI to speed up the approval process. So over 60% of the work today is done by AI and machine learning. So probably for our work we would have 200 credit managers, we have 10 credit managers doing that work. So AI is taking care of things.
Right.
So AI is helping us for being more efficient, being more cost effective, and at the end of the day, partners get benefit out of it.
But have you seen some business models in AI in education that are looking interesting currently?
So not business model per se, but use of AI into, for example, payment processing. So previously we used to have an Excel, and in which we used to put VLOOKUP, and next day morning partner used to get the MIS. Now MIS with the help of AI has become like that. Ki partner dashboard at any point in time, partner can see like your bank statement. Yeah.
So you probably find that a lot of back-end work might get eased out with...
Right. So somebody in the last panel was discussing about the manufacturing, and they said the rich countries don't want to manufacture.
Correct.
So you will see, and we finance lots of US courses as well, and where we see in US you are not getting accountants because it's a $5,000, $7,000 job where you have much more interesting things to do in the world. So what we see is all this low end, or which you can automate, or which AI can take over. It will take over, and you will get more lucrative, more high-end, more value-added. In place of BPO, you will see KPO kind of thing. So it's super KPO kind of things.
Right. Okay. Ruchira, I'm going to come to you, and particularly at a private equity level, what kind of investments are you sort of evaluating in the education sector, which you think are also very interesting and futuristic?
So I think India's potential in education remains huge. So I agree with Nikunj here. And that's also simply because of the large size of the numbers, in addition to the points you made, right? India has 27 million babies born every year, right? So that's the size of the pool that's joining the class or the K-12 curriculum. And actually, before K-12, they're joining a pre-K play school curriculum. There has been leaps and bounds of progress in the pre-K education system. From low engagement play schools or daycare kind of centers, now there is a lot of science behind the kind of learning and engagement that can happen with a child much before the child reaches kindergarten, and with families where invariably both parents are working, they are busy, they are nuclear families. Getting a child from a daycare to a more engaged learning solution, whether it's with a play school or with some kind of homeschooling as well, is being explored. And technology plays a big role in making all of that happen. Technology plays a role in improving the experience at the play school level or delivering those kind of tools to the home environment. The other big segment is K-12 that we've seen a lot of startups in. We've seen startups being acquired. And there again, I think from a phase that lasted 5 to 7 years, where there were a lot of companies, many of them got acquired, the space got consolidated, we're again reaching a place where there will be a vacuum, right? With what we've seen happen in that sector, but the need for supplementary education to add to what K-12 delivers in school is still huge. Particularly when you go beyond the metros and smaller cities where schools often don't have teachers, don't have textbooks, and the only way to solve that gap is through technology. The third big segment is higher education, and IFC is proud to have backed Upgrad, which is a leading player in the higher education space. And I think there is a lot more breadth that Upgrad has built over the last 3-4 years since we backed them, but many more solutions remain to be created because India is adding, in the next decade, about 100 million working age people. Those working age population need to be skilled, they need to be trained to join the workforce, and that will require a lot of finishing school. It will require trade skills that will be delivered by, I think, a portfolio of education platforms.
Sure. Yeah, that's very interesting. So,
Just add,
yeah,
something.
please, yeah, go on.
Because she touched a point of Upgrade. We are the biggest finance partner for Upgrade. Rohit, who is their CFO, I interact with him real time. They have evolved. So probably when you invested, their ticket size would be 25, 30, 40,000 rupees. Today, they are into distance education, and they don't have their own distance education platform. They finance Chandigarh universities and Chitkara universities in north, Kalinga in east, D.Y. Patil in west, in south, probably 2-3 more distance education players, and they have found the niche for them. What is great in them is their marketing skills, the kind of reach they have, the kind of drive they have, the kind of skills to convert a lead into a particular these things, and that's where they have developed the niche. I interact with a lot of partners, and there were 5 players competing with them. Today, 2 does not exist. So it says a lot about being agile. I remember the Pleksha University guy was discussing about 150-acre prime properties is in distress style, and that's what happens. So I agree with you. Probably when you invested, they have pivoted into something very strong and which is very fundamentally strong. Because India, as she rightly said about upskilling, 15 years back, the MBAs was not that relevant. So today, distance education, lots of which we finance, 80% of them are distance education where they want to do masters in business administration and kind of things. And it has a bright future, and that's where a player like IFC is putting in money, and that's where Indian economy is getting fruit out of it. So distance education is shaping up very well in India.
Yeah, the other thing is, all the graduates that come out of various schools and universities in India, if you look at what percentage is truly employable, there is a big gap there.
Fantastic.
In order to add to that employability, you need there are trade skills that need to be developed, there are soft skills that need to be developed, and the world is rapidly changing. There are new courses, new work streams. Data science was not such a big space 10 years ago as it is today. Design and creative schools were not so popular as they are today. So there are new areas where people can learn. Web3, we were talking about this just before lunch. So there are new spaces, new skills to be had. The other thing is we're getting into a world where each one of the young people that India creates will have more than one career. So if you look back 2 generations, most people had one career and they stayed in their career for their entire life. I have had 5 careers. I've been a consultant, I've been a banker, I've been a PE investor, I've been a startup founder, I've been a venture capital investor. The next generation will have 10 careers in their lifetime because the world is changing so rapidly. So there's a need for constant learning, unlearning, relearning, and the role of education platforms and technology in making that happen is huge.
Amazing.
No, I think you're totally right over there. But so therefore, do you see a lot more hybrid education models coming into foray?
Fantastic.
Because, with hybrid education, at least one could be working and also be taking the education that they want. One aspect that was today highlighted in earlier talks was the need for learning while you are actually working in a corporate, say. So, you're working as well as you're learning at the same time so that your skills are always up to date, because corporates too feel, the need to probably say goodbye to people who've been working for a while with them because they're not able to update or enhance their skills. So do you feel that now this hybrid education is something that is going to be done by the likes of upgrads, Edtech startups, or do you think it's going to come out of universities or higher educational institutes, and to what extent?
I think the two will start getting deeply integrated.
Fantastic.
There is a need for online degrees already. There's a need for phygital education, and you've seen that as well. A lot of players that started with online only set up physical centers, and a lot of people who had physical centers set up online platforms.
Upgrad just announced
Upgrad did that. Abaiju had tuition centers. Akash went into Akash Digital, and universities are launching online degrees. In emerging markets like India, there is always going to be an omni-channel approach to any industry. So I'm a believer that the two will meet in the middle very well, both sides learning from each other. And the content that we talked about AI earlier, the content also is increasingly being refined with every passing year. AI is creating a way to convert speech to text. So I could give a lecture in a classroom and that could be going out as a text lecture. It could be a text lecture that or audio feed that becomes text, textual feed that becomes audio. There is a way to morph content in a manner that becomes digestible. It could be bite-sized, it could be long form. You can play with various modalities to teach in the manner most suited to the individual.
Yeah.
And hybrid, so previously, before COVID, I would say we were sitting on a fence, whether to experiment or not to experiment. COVID pushed us to experiment out of compulsion.
Correct.
And today what I see is the smartphone adaptability. If kids is using it, I don't wonder. If me and you are using it, I don't wonder. But if my father and my forefathers are using it, if my nanny is using smartphone without knowing English, but see, play PUBG at times. See, he's enjoying it. So now I call it hybrid or I don't call it hybrid, I don't know. But the fact is that gamification is a truth. People are using it. Kids, I see a lot of mothers, kids are not earning. Previously, I don't know what to do. They are having lunch or dinner, कार्टून लगा देते हैं और कार्टून बच्चा देखते रहता है और लंच डिनर कर रहा है बच्चा आराम से.
Yeah, that's true.
So just to add this into the education context, she rightly pointed out the higher education. We are working with BITS Pilani, we are working with MAHI, means Manipal Institute, and we are working with at least 200 more partners like that, and we are seeing more and more hybrids are thinking. So people are going for full-time, like Sunstones of the world and college, Dekho, college dunya of the world. At the same time, people are going full-time into universities. At the same time, they are going into upskilling in upgrades of the world. The data science he rightly pointed out. This stream does not exist 3 years back.
Yeah, even for that matter, AI. So AI courses are very popular.
Yes.
Place, yeah.
And when you talk about hybrid, Ritu, the other thing that comes to mind is the format. So I talked about bite size and long form, but also the format and how it's made accessible to everybody. So the most recent deal I did was was an investment in a platform called Kuku FM. They are an audio OTT platform. So think of them as a Netflix for audio. So you get bite-sized audio feeds on various topics, and they create series. So it could be a series on personal finance. And because it's audio, a chart wala may have earphones and he's making chart, he's learning at the same time. A bank teller could be learning at the same time. So you take learning to your workplace, to the point you were making earlier. People always think about, oh, I'll be in a corporate environment and I'll have education. You can be in any environment because education is available to you in bite-sized modalities that are friendly to whatever you're doing at that time. It could be audio or video, whatever is suited. You're able to digest short, bite-sized content and learn from that on the go.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Mobility of content is certainly a big deal today. And I think education industry needs to make the most of it. So today I feel that, children, while we talk about, how children have choices, but the fact is the choices have come to them much earlier. Now my 13-year-old is thinking about, how she's going to go into the college and choose the right course. And I said, you're in grade 7, for God's sake, you can wait another 2 years before we have these discussions. But the fact is that, today the whole career planning has become, it has sort of gone a little behind. It used to start at grade 9 or 9, 10 or probably even sometimes 11 and 12. It's now come down to grade 6, grade 7, wherein, so career planning platforms, do you think they have a great future in terms of, and I know one platform which is using AI today to matchmake between, so they do these biometric tests for children and then they further match as to what courses are best suited for them, and then they also recommend them that the universities bases their scores. And so do you feel that such career planning platforms are going to grow in times to come?
So India is a crazy country. Here homeschooling is also growing, and day boarding is also growing. What we see in our day-to-day life is, because we are into startup, we are into education financing, starting from senior KG to the highest grades of the colleges. And we work with close to 150 partners in each segment. So we work with 1,000 partners. Every day, 1 hour of mine goes into some idea sharing, or somebody will bounce their ideas or I bounce my ideas to them. Even today, I have a busy day, met good entrepreneurs. Trust me, जो लगे रहेंगे, जिसमें persistency होगी और passion होगा, segment से कर लेगा. Money is not an issue in India. एक तरफ लोग बोल रहे हैं कि funding winter है, ये है वो है. एक तरफ Ruchira might said कि get me good ideas. I have people chasing me for with money.
Funding is not an issue in India. There's no funding winter in India. We have real winter. We don't have, we have temperatures dropping in India. We don't have, and look, I think India is very fortunate because in a world where geopolitics, recessionary environments, and that's the conversation. Yeah. We are sitting in an environment where India is going to double its GDP in the next 6 years, double its GDP per capita, add this, as I was saying, 100 million working age population, strong demographic, consistent policy, consistent reform, private sector friendly, ease of doing business, everything. So it's a great opportunity. But I also want to come back to the point you're making, Ritu, about things are coming to the kids too early. And that's a double-edged sword. I also think kids are being forced to grow up too early. And there are too many choices. Decision-making is hard. Yes, that creates opportunity for profit-making startups because you can do career planning, you can do study abroad programs, you can sell a whole bunch of stuff to buyers who are way too young. It puts much more pressure on the parent. And I'll throw in for fun and laughter and personal anecdote. My son is 5. He had to take a test on an iPad. And guess what he did? He kept pressing next till he reached the end. So, he decided to resist the system. But, that is coming to them. And I didn't have an iPad when I was 5. Forget about taking a test on an iPad.
Just to add, my son taught me how to disable the camera, in a video chat. So that his teacher will not tell, Lux, please switch on the camera. Na? So, ma'am, camera not working. So he found that, shortcut.
So it's information. We heard.
Yeah.
So, I also want to make a point on, while we're talking about that Web3 has slowed down, less of metaverse, but I see that a lot of new tech companies in the Web3 space, they're actually building products for education as an industry.
Yes,
Because they want to, as you said, catch children early. They want to sort of, and today, Apple is now out with their XR glasses. So, now giving that reality that they want to give you over those glasses, and those kids want to take it. Now, unless educational institutions don't cooperate and they don't provide this environment within the campus, there's going to be a disconnect in the education once again. So therefore, a lot of education companies who are building content which is immersive is going to suddenly, I think, spurt up in the next few months over here.
Yeah, and I'll give you one example of that immersive training. So there's a startup called Chile, and they've created a way to train healthcare workers on procedures. So a nurse who's trying to put that cannula and can never find your vein needs to be trained. Or putting in a catheter, that person needs to be trained. There are procedures so there are nurse procedures where a lot of the training in India today is apprenticeship. The junior nurse follows the senior nurse. They don't often follow the checklist. They miss certain steps, and that results in a lot of other ancillary infections on the hospital space. So this company is focused on using VR, AR, VR to train nurses. But they can also use AR, VR to train
Teachers,
surgeons, teachers, to train the trainer programs, right? And in some cases, it's hugely valuable. Junior surgeons travel abroad to witness a surgery, pay top dollars to witness a surgery, and here they can get an immersive surgical procedure at a live OT table without putting the patient at risk, right? So there are these tools which hospitals, education institutions all have to adopt, and somebody has to pay for that. It has to be made economically viable for them.
So do you feel that more such startups are going to get funding in times to come?
Yes, because the need is big. There is a large need gap. There's a problem to be solved. And as we were saying earlier, the capital exists. Yes. The capital providers may have to catch up with what's available in terms of technologies, and we'll have to still find those profitability pathways. But there is enormous opportunity to invest.
Do you find the exits are coming now? I mean, in education or edtech startups, as they used to come in earlier days, like 19, 20, 21. There was like whole lot of exits that happened for edtech companies, edtech startups in 2021, in sort of never before seen way. So do you feel that now, given the fact these opportunities exist, there will be good exits for you as investors to find?
Absolutely. So you see what is happening in the ecosystem. If I know, if I put 1 rupee today and after 3 years I'm going to get 5 rupees, or after 10 years I'm going to get 20 rupees, as an investor what I would prefer is, let's wait for 2 to 3 more years and get more. So in place of exit, how business model evolving, how it become more mainstream, how it is making more relevant. There is lots of impact capital available. I see a lot of European banks are ready to invest in India. So exit, rather than exit, it's more important is people have more money to put in. If you have the business idea which is profitable, which makes sense, even today you will get funding very easily. Funding is not an issue. And if you have a good business idea where, anybody will buy that particular from you, A to B, B to C.
Right.
So exit is not a problem. Investing is not a problem. Right business idea and running it in a profitable manner, in a scalable manner. Because the mantra is scalable, profitable.
So, from that unicorns to zebra stories, is it real for you as investors? You want sort of more sweat for the dollar that is burnt?
So, I think moving away from valuation to value creation, right? And I think all investors have made that shift now, right? So it's good to see a unicorn in my portfolio, and I must proudly say that of the 16 investments IFC did in India, 8 became unicorns, and that's a ratio we are proud of. But more than that, what we are proud of is having supported leaders in their respective spaces. So if they've gained market leadership, irrespective of what the valuation is, because that's just something that will evolve over time. And if you have a solid product, you're serving an important need, success will come. That's how I look at it. And on exits, the other point, nuanced point I'd like to make is there are different investors for different stages of the company's life cycle. So the prior investors who fulfilled their purpose in the prior stage will exit to later stage investors, who will then exit to later stage investors. And I'm also bullish on the IPO market opening up.
Right.
Later in this, in the next
said,
8 to 9 months, we would see a lot of listings. So you will, and for some of the newer technologies, though, Ritu, it will take time.
Yeah,
Right? What we're
yeah.
talking, the Web3, the AR, VR stuff, that will take time to reach maturity. But I think I'm bullish about being able to get returns and being able to monetize at the right time.
Exactly. Just to add what Ruchira is telling is, there is various stage of investments, and whatever IPOs we are seeing today, it's a hard work of last 2 years of filing the red, filing and all this.
Red herring.
It's not like that कि आज मार्केट ऊपर है तो लोग 2 महीने में IPO कर लेंगे, 2 साल की मेहनत है. तो आज ये Web3 और वो सब है, वो आज मेहनत करेंगे, हो सकता है 2-3 साल बाद जब वो स्टेज में आ जाएंगे, यू विल सी मोर एग्जिट्स.
वो तो जब मेहनत करेंगे आप करोगे उन पे सबसे ज्यादा.
तो लगे हुए एकदम फाइनेंसिंग.
लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई.